one thing he mentioned that I haven't seen, I'm going to have to find out where to find it. The recommended language for hypnotists. I haven't seen that in the trainer's portal. So I'll have to make a concerted effort to figure out where they have that, because what I've been using, the stuff I showed you on Scope of Practice that I've been using for years, is a compilation that, you know, words to stay away from and stuff, you know, and I'm sure it's not a whole lot different than that, but that came from, was taken from National Guild of Hypnotists, which tends to be more conservative language-wise. Like I said, they recommend that their hypnotists nowadays call themselves consulting hypnotist and not use hypnotherapist, even though my certification with them says certified hypnotherapist. So they've the last 10 or 15 years, they've gotten to where they're, you know, being even more careful. That's what I meant by conservative, careful.
Right.
I don't have a problem with hypnotherapist, as long as you have the disclaimers, as long as you're very clear with every client and in all your advertising and paperwork to make sure people know that you are not licensed anything, unless you are, of course, like Dr. Rosen, but he's still not a licensed hypnotherapist. You know, he's not licensed in hypnotherapy because there is none. There is no licensing. So just to let people know, you don't treat, prescribe, diagnose, you know, that kind of thing. The wording can be very simple, or like I said, if it's a business card, you can just have a simple asterisk in very small print that says medical referral required for some services. So I put it, if I'm using the word hypnotherapist or hypnotherapy, I put a little asterisk, and depending on how much space I have, that might be the short thing they see. And if they have a question, you know, if I'm talking with someone, I can expand on that. But it just, that way I'm using hypnotherapist and connecting it to the fact that I always, always, always have the proper referral when I'm doing hypnotherapy. I can do hypnosis without a referral for simple stress, sports, smoking, weight, you know, simple habits. Nowadays, there's so much in the DSM. I prefer to get a referral for everything now. It's just
first time if they've ever been in emotional or physical trauma, they start to associate muscle soreness with that, and you really have to go slow with them in the beginning. Otherwise, they think you're actually, why are you hurting me? And you're like, whoa, this dude. But that's interesting. They can't differentiate the difference between emotional pain or physical pain sometimes.
It's a perception, and it is, you know, there's nerves and obviously physical elements.
Right.
And yet, even with all of that, what happens with hypnosis, just to not go into the science too much of it, because I need all my paperwork for that, because I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but there is actual proof that the mind can rewire the emotional connection and the association into the pain. Once that's changed, the experience of pain doesn't happen. Doesn't mean the cause of it is gone.
Right. Yeah, well, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
Like I said, we really get into the psychology and the science behind it in the medical, but this little simple thing I'm going to do is pretty much the main thing I do. If I'm going to do a technique with a client, this one usually works with 100% of the people. Okay. And usually you can lower within 5 minutes. You can have their pain go down. I use 1 to 100 scale, 0 to 100 instead of 0 to 10 for a couple of reasons. Because I want everything in my office to be as much different as what they experience in their doctor's office as possible. That's the first reason. The second reason is if you do 0 to 100, and if they do 0 to 10 and they go from a 7 to a 3, it just perception-wise doesn't seem quite as dramatic
as large,
going from a 70 to a 30.
Yeah,
it's got a different mental perception. It seems like more. I want more room for movement, in other words. Now, having said that, if you work with pain, always with a referral, because You know, they have to be checked out by the medical doctor to make sure, you know, what's going on with that. In some of the books, and you will meet trainers in hypnosis that will absolutely say, from their belief system, and it's in, like I said, it's in some of the books, never get rid of 100% of the pain. I beg to differ, as do many people that I respect in this field since I've been in it, and that as long as the cause has been determined by a doctor and is being treated appropriately, you know, because they will be, if they're sending them to you, they're already in treatment for the pain, then there's no reason for the person to suffer anymore. And Dan Cleary, who is the current specialist in pain relief, who's at the conference every year, he usually does like a 2-day pain thing. I actually brought him into UP Hypnosis Institute many years ago to do a 2-day pain workshop. He did basically the same one he does at IACT, and having people. He's very good, and he lives it every day because I think I told you he has exposed nerves in his right arm and an atrophied arm for many, many decades now. And he agrees. You know, it's if you give people in pain just a little relief, they think you're a miracle worker.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
So question on that, just real quick, let me butt in so I don't forget to ask you.
Absolutely.
If that's something that I am looking at, because obviously in the job that I do, that would behoove me.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that I continue on with the medical? I mean, would that be something that you would?
As much specialty training as you can get. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. No,
especially if it's pain specifically you're looking for, do some extra, you know, do Dan Clary's 2-day pain next night. Because I don't know many people, like I said, that are doing comprehensive, and that's considered comprehensive these days, right? 2 days of training, you know. So, because it is, I mean, and it's not that complicated. It's not like you need weeks and weeks or months and months of training in it. Once you know how to be, once you've got the hypnosis training, you've got the basics already. It's just, how do I apply it? What's the little ways to apply it specifically?
Nuances and stuff.
So
Okay.
And I always recommend getting more training anyway for anybody doing this work. Carol, would you agree to be my practice?
Sure.
And I'll tell you, I've never done this online before. And I am definitely at the point now where I believe everything can be adapted to do it online. You're the one that's going to do it. I'm just guiding you anyway. So you don't need me in the room with you for you to do this. I would be a little more interactive and have my hands moving and doing things, but you don't need to see that either, right? I can just
well, we can always reinforce tomorrow.
Well, if you'll be able to reinforce after this yourself, basically.
Okay.
But, yeah,
cool.
So right now, sitting here right now, on that scale of 1 to 100, or 0 to 100, with 0 meaning you don't notice it, you don't even notice it at all. 100 would mean you better get to the hospital. It's that excruciating. Where is it right now? Just first
probably 50 because I'm not on it. It's my foot.
Oh, okay. So sitting here though, you do feel it?
Oh yeah.
About 50? Okay. Because for this demo and to do this process, you have to have some experience right now of the pain. Because if somebody came to me and said, well, I have migraine headaches, I say, do you have one right now? And they say no, then I wouldn't do this process right now. Okay. I would do something else, you know. So this is only for current, right now, experiencing. So it's great for chronic pain. This is a great process to teach your clients for chronic pain. So you're at about a 50. And just for my own curiosity, not that it's necessarily part of this process, but is that about when you are sitting, is that generally where your pain is?
No, it comes and goes. And because it's chronic, it depends a lot on how much I've been on my feet, what shoes I wear, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's more, it fluctuates more in the level.
Okay. And again, if you were my client, I would probably ask quite a few more questions. I'm going to keep this a little bit simpler, but I am curious about how long you've been experiencing this pain.
Noticeably, probably, let's see, 30 years.
Oh, wow. That long. Now, are you in treatment for it right now?
There really isn't any. I've been to a podiatrist, and what he's done over the last few years is I get a cortisone injection in my foot. What it is just to explain a little bit, your big toe is kind of like your kneecap in that you have two sesamoid bones that the tendon runs over the top of, and it basically runs in between those two bones. And sometime, probably when I was a kid, I cracked one of those bones pretty much in half. Never really noticed it much until I started working where I was wearing high heels. And so then my foot, in the ball of my foot, which is where that is, was getting pressure. So that's when I initially went to a podiatrist. And there's really nothing they can do short of getting in there and taking it out. Well, over the last 30 years, my body has decided to heal this. And in the process of healing it, it's basically deformed that bone so that it's reattached it and it sticks out further than it should. So depending on how I step, sometimes I think I grab tendons or something that are associated with it. So yeah, it can get quite painful.
So it's basically healed itself, but not in the exact,
not in the correct fashion, right?
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
it was kind of broken off, and it, yeah.
So you're basically planning this is the way it's going to be from now on, I assume, since it's been this long.
No, until I decide that I need to do surgery, because my podiatrist even said, let's try not to do that for as long as possible, because it may fuse your toe and all this other kind of good crap.
Okay.
So yeah. So
for now, though,
right now,
you're having to deal with it for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I want to respect that this can be done in a very light state, because I'm going to have you open your eyes for most of this, but just to get started, just to kind of center yourself.
Okay.
If you would like to just close your eyes, that would probably be a nice thing, just to take a breath or two and center yourself, or whatever that means to you, just to kind of quiet down a little bit inside, get a little more in the moment. And that's just fine. And I'm going to ask you a question while you sit there with your eyes closed, continuing to focus. Is it all right with you if for you to just actually feel that discomfort, maybe even just a little bit more for a few moments, knowing that in a short while it'll feel better? Is that okay with you?
That's fine. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is to go ahead and just send your thoughts, send your mind right into that discomfort. Just send it right inside of the center of it. And you already told me that's in your foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just let yourself be there and actually experience it. I know it's not comfortable, but give yourself permission just to experience it again, knowing that you're going to be doing something to make it feel better. And now I'm going to ask you a question, and just let your creative mind come up with the answer. You don't have to try to think of an answer at all or search for an answer. Just kind of allow an answer to come to you when I ask you this, and accept whatever comes without judgment as much as possible. If you were to imagine this experience of discomfort that you're in the middle of right now, if it were to be an object, what do you imagine it is? And trust what comes to you. Just whatever the first thing comes to you is fine.
Rock.
A rock. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to just tell me a little bit more about that rock, like the size. How big is it?
It's like the size of a golf ball.
Okay. And does it have a color or colors?
It's gray, dark gray.
Dark gray. Okay. Does it have any kind of texture? Like, is it rough or smooth or?
It's smooth.
Smooth. Okay. If you were to know how much it weighed, how much do you think it weighs?
5 pounds.
Okay. And does it seem to be static, or is it moving or vibrating or anything like that?
No, no, it's not moving.
Okay. And does it seem to be like a rock, like a picture of a rock, or is it like three-dimensional?
No, it's three-dimensional. It's like a rock.
Three-dimensional. Of course it is. Yeah, of course it would be. Okay. So now in a moment, I'm going to have you open your eyes. And when you do, I'm going to ask you to, as you open your eyes, to put that rock out in front of you. Now I know you've got a camera, you've got a computer, whatever, some pictures of people in front of you, but you're just going to put that rock about, I'd say about a foot in front of your eyes, and you can put it off to the side if that's easier than looking straight into the the computer or whatever. I'll let you decide that, but you can imagine with your eyes open. So in a moment when I tell you to open your eyes, what I'd like you to do is just look about a foot in front of you and just put that rock right there about a foot in front of you. Okay, ready? You understand?
Yes.
Okay, great. So go ahead now, do that right now. Open your eyes and just take that rock right out and put it right out in front of you, about a foot in front of you. Very good. So now that it's there and you're observing it, right? You got it about a foot in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that it's there, I don't know if it has, but I'm just kind of curious if it's changed at all. It might still be the same, but does it seem any different out there? Is it still, has anything changed about it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so
Well,
it's still about the size of a golf ball. It's dark gray, smooth, right? So it's the same. Yeah, I didn't know if it, I was just curious. Okay, so here's what I'm going to have you do now. Imagine just with your mind taking that golf ball size dark gray rock and just put it out about 10 more feet. And if there happens to be a wall that close, just imagine you can just put it right there through the wall, just 10 feet out in front of you. So that it's 10 feet out there now. And just notice what it's like with it out there 10 feet away. And I'm going to ask you to change the color of it. Just with your imagination, change the color. And I'll let you choose a color. Change to color that you think you'd like it better as. And tell me what you change it to.
It already changed when I moved it. Now it's brown and white speckled.
Brown and white speckled. Okay, do you like it better like that?
I do.
Okay, okay. And is there any other color or colors or pattern that you think you would like even more? I'm just curious. Or is that one fine?
I think that's fine. I think it's smaller now too.
What size is it now?
I don't know, half the size maybe.
Oh, okay. So it's like maybe a ping pong ball maybe or something. That sounds
Okay.
about
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So does that mean it weighs less too, you think?
Yes, probably.
So what do you imagine it weighs now?
Maybe 2 pounds.
2 pounds. Okay. Okay. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is take that brown and white speckled ping pong sized 2-pound rock. It's still a rock though, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay. Is it smooth still?
Yes.
Okay. Take it and move it just for the heck of it, just to see what happens. Move it way over on the other side. Like if it's off to your, it looks like it's off to your right, move it way off to the left, 10 feet away. And look at it over on your left side, 10 feet away. And do you like it better there, or did you like it better where it was? Or is it the same?
No, I think I like it better over this side.
On this side? Okay, so keep it there. And what I'm going to ask you to do is use your imagination. And since you got it, since it went from the size of a golf ball to a ping pong, I want you to see if you can just imagine shrinking it with your imagination to the size of, I don't know, how about a marble? The size of a marble. You can do that, right? You got it?
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to, I don't know what it would weigh now. I'm imagining it's less, possibly. But is it still a brown and white speckled rock?
No, it's clear now, like a marble.
Oh, it's clear like a marble. Okay, so it turned clear. You like it better that way?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Okay, so take that little clear marble how much do you think it weighs?
I don't know.
Not much, huh?
Not much.
Okay. So take that clear marble now and just imagine with your mind that you can, I don't know, how far away is your wall? Is it out of the room yet, or is it
I'm about there, yeah.
almost there? Imagine, because your imagination can do anything. Just imagine it could move right through the wall and go outside. Now, I don't know what's outside of your wall. There might be another room, or it might be outdoors. Whatever's out there, send it like, I don't know, send it like 20 yards out into whatever's out there. And imagine that marble now, if it's that far away, that clear marble, I don't even know if it'd be visible, but it's out there. So imagine it out there. Do you seem to like it out there? Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let me ask you this then, since you've done all those things. That little clear marble that's way out there now, 20 yards out, is there someplace where you would like to send it where it would feel even better?
It's on my driveway right now, so I think I want to bury it.
You want to bury it? Okay, well, go ahead and bury it. Yeah, go ahead and bury it. Very good. Go ahead and bury it, and then you got it buried?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now I'm going to ask you, Carol, on that scale of 0 to 100, where is your comfort level now? With 0 being the most comfortable. And don't think about it too much, just.
That's weird. My foot is numb.
It's numb. So does that mean
that
it's
place
0?
is, that area is numb, yeah.
0
I mean, like tingly, like when your foot falls asleep. Yeah.
But there's no discomfort there.
No.
Very nice. So I think you're done. You can leave that buried, by the way.
That's cool.
And if it resurfaces, or if a dog digs it up or something, and it sneaks back in, a little bit, you know what to do with it now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do it probably even quicker the next time, because now that you can do that. And if you like that tingling or numbness or whatever you call that sensation in your foot, that can be where you leave it. And also knowing that, you have that unconscious mind that always is protecting you, and it will alert you in some way that doesn't have to be uncomfortable. If there's any change that you need to go get it checked, or that you need to possibly, be cautious of some activity that you're doing or about to do, right? It can always alert you still, but it doesn't have to alert you with discomfort. It can alert you with maybe a stronger tingling or a stronger numbness, or something that can just alert you without discomfort. Is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's good the way it is. You happy with it there?
Yes.
For now? Okay. So that's it. You can come back out here now.
Very that was cool. That was really cool.
Good focus. That little simple thing, I'm telling you, that's
just really cool, because that's cool.
You don't really need much more than that, because you know what? Your mind wants you to feel as good as possible.
Yeah.
And the thing about taking all of the discomfort away, the only caution why they say that sometimes is because you need to know if it needs attention. It's a signal. Right. It's a signal. Once the signal is being dealt with, the way I feel about it, the way Dan Cleary teaches, and the way everybody I respected that I learned from about that signal, is once it's being taken care of, medically or whatever other way, or if it's a signal that nobody can figure out what to do with it, you don't have to live with the discomfort. You've already addressed it. The signal's there to get your attention that something needs attention. Right. Once it got that alert through to you and you are doing something with it, you don't need the signal anymore unless something changes. Or again, unless you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, then
Right.
your mind can alert you to say you might not want to go play hopscotch, or or go do jump rope or dive off us, and what I'm saying. So it can alert you if you're about to, or if you are doing something that might further injure you, because that's what it's for. That's what the signal's for. So let's go through what we just did. And by the way, people say, well, will it? And I've had this happen. I do this as demos in classes all the time, and you guys will practice this. I'd rather you practice it. I don't know, we might practice it online. It's nice that you can do any of this stuff online. It's because you're doing it. I always like to reiterate at the end, you can keep this level of comfort now as long as you like. And if it does, if you start to get some discomfort, yes, be aware that you might need to address it and might need to look at something, but you can be comfortable while you're taking care of that. There's no reason. The signal has been addressed. You don't need the signal anymore. That's what it's for, and it did its job, so it doesn't need to be there anymore. So any questions?
No, that's just really cool.
Very
That just reiterates my need to want to do more of this so that I can help people who are in pain.
And I can tell you, in 28, almost 9 years now of this, and I've done a lot of demos through the years on this kind of stuff, and I've worked, of course, with clients with it. It never one time has somebody not had a dramatic improvement in that short of a time. Not one time. So it's about the setup. It's about having trust and rapport. If we did this the first day of class, I probably would have had to take a little more time with getting you to, but not really that much though, because with a client, I will do this during the pre-talk. They don't even think I'm doing hypnosis yet, because all I did was say, close your eyes, take a couple of breaths or whatever, and think about this, open your eyes, think about this, think about that, think about this, think about that, checking in. And then I'll do hypnosis after this to mainly to keep the conscious mind from polluting what we just did with doubts and with those what ifs. And like I said, people always say, well, what are almost without exception, when I do it in classes, usually people say, will this last? I say, do you want it to? You're in charge of it. You just proved it to yourself. You're in charge of it. So now you understand you have some control over your experience, as long as you respect the signal and don't just ignore it. If it needs to be attended to further, you will respect that. Then there's no reason for you to be uncomfortable. And like I said, without exception, this is very simple. I love this little process. It's very simple, and it's simple is better sometimes. So
change like from rough to smooth, or does it go from smooth to like jagged ever?
This time I didn't even change that. I didn't even address that, did I? That you can address any parts of it. For her, it was working without going. Like I said, you can be as detailed or not. I got a lot of detail up front, so I'd have some flexibility with what I could manipulate.
Right. It seems the distance was disassociation with pain. As you kept moving it, does pain get less and less, which is interesting to watch.
It seemed to get, well, and like visually, like my mind wanted to come back in and say, well, it's only because it's further away. And I kind of shut that off.
Good.
And that's when I focused on it and noticed that the color had changed too.
And as a hypnotist, you want to shut that off too. Don't assume that just because it's farther away, it's going to be less,
Well, I think that was my conscious mind jumping back in.
Yeah. For 99.9% of the people, yes. The farther away it gets, the less. But guess what? Don't assume that, because there's going to be that one person. They're going to say, well, no. I personally haven't found that person yet, so I don't know. But just don't put yourself in a box. Let yourself let the feedback guide what you do. The color didn't change all that much. Sometimes I'll introduce because usually if it's discomfort, well, you notice I started talking to her about. See, I don't even want to say the word again, but you can ignore the word now because you've already dealt with it. You have control over it now. So with the client, I would do just like I did with Carol. I start out talking about her pain and her pain level, because that's where she's at. I got to start where she is, so she knows what we're talking about. And very gradually, pretty quickly, but not so quickly that it jarred her, that she probably didn't even notice if it's a client. You might have, because you're thinking as a hypnotist while I'm doing the demo, I'm sure. But your client won't even notice that all of a sudden you haven't said the P word since way back at the beginning of this thing.
Right.
All of, on the scale of 0 to 100, I already started talking about, with 0 being you don't even notice it, and 100 being, I might have said pain one more time there just to emphasize, because I'm still getting the scale. I want her to be where she is when she walked in still. So, and for some reason, most people are usually around 70 or 80. She was at 50. And I got a couple more, a little more detail, which wasn't that relevant. I was just curious, what it was about. So she was at 50, but by the end, and then as we went through, every time I addressed it after that, I was saying with that discomfort, because it's got that embedded command. It's softer. The unconscious keeps hearing comfort, comfort, comfort. It keeps hearing the direction you want it to go. It keeps emphasizing, and that's what you want to do with hypnosis. We keep emphasizing what you focus on amplifies. Keep emphasizing the comfort. So discomfort, I got that, the language patterns we went over this morning is in number 3 here, right? Is it okay with you to feel that discomfort for just a few moments, knowing that in a short while you will feel better? So it's an implied, by saying yes, you just agreed that in a short while you're going to feel better.
Right.
That's one of those language patterns that you just learned, right?
Did you ever increase it right then too? Let's increase the pain.
Not unless I feel like I need to. I haven't. I don't think, to be perfectly honest, I don't think I've ever had to do that. I know that for some people, if you are having a challenge getting movement on it, you can make it worse. They can always make it worse. So all you got to do is get them to focus on it, and it's worse, right?
Can we get a copy of this? Because it would be fascinating.
I wanted to do the demo first, so you weren't looking at it while I wanted you to watch the demo first. Awesome. So you've got that before I had her just close her eyes and take a couple of breaths, which is all I would do with a client too, because like I said, this would be mostly done in the pre-talk before I do the formal induction. And when I bring them from this, if they've already lessened their pain, which they always do, to a lesser level, now their confidence and their faith in me and their faith in the process is increased dramatically. So now when I do an induction, by the end of the session, I'm going to check in again right after I finish the session. If they were down to say 20 or 30 or 40, from 70 or 80, if it's less but not gone, I'm going to check in at the end. As soon as I bring them out of hypnosis, I'm going to say, I'm just curious. I'm not going to give them time to think about it. That will be the break state for something like this. I'm going to say, before they have time to reorient or anything, I'm going to say, I'm just curious, remember on that scale of 0 to 100, with 0 being the absolute most comfortable, where are you now? I'm not going to even mention the other end anymore, because I want to keep the focus where they're headed already. I'll say, where are you now? And usually they'll look confused and like they're looking for it. They can't find it. That's a good sign. That means, where did it go? Good, you got rid of it. Now you know you can do, now you're empowered. Now you know you can do something intentionally to be more comfortable. And usually it's 0 or close to it. So it's remarkably, I'm still amazed at how well the mind.
I'm blown away sitting here with this not hurting for I can't even remember.
You're much more comfortable. You're in charge of your comfort level. Just remember that. Okay, so by getting that yes response here, that's one of those language patterns, and it implies they're already telling me, by saying yes, they just agreed to feel better in a little while. So you associate, remember that thing earlier, the meta program of change work? There it was. You associate first. Then I had her open her eyes and dissociate. Now it's out here after I got the description of it as much as possible. now that it's out here, I always ask, I don't know, I'm just curious, now that it's out there, has it changed at all? Sometimes it changes dramatically out here. Sometimes it's the same. Whatever they say, I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, let's do something now. Let's try something. And you just keep trying different things. I would have tried, like you said, Sean, most of the time I would have addressed the smoothness, except it's not usually smooth.
Okay, that's what I figured it was.
Usually the discomfort is going to be, you know, when you start it, you're calling it pain, obviously. Usually it's going to be bright red or black. It's going to be something like that. Hers was, I think, dark brown.
Gray.
Gray at first.
Gray. It was gray at first. Then it went to brown with speckles.
Yeah.
But that seemed okay for her. Now, a lot of times too, if it's black or deep red, or it'll have spikes on it. Usually it's not smooth.
The coronavirus.
It's just generally, so that
Yeah,
kind
like
of surprised
coronavirus,
me.
exactly.
That kind of surprised me. So that wasn't my first thing I wanted to play with. You know, what was I going to do with smooth? I didn't want to start there. So I started with the dark gray, I think, or I started with moving it out, and then I had her move it farther away, I think, and then move it on the other side. And if she'd have said, oh, I think I liked it better over there, I'd say, well, put it back over there then. Every time she does something with it, she's proving to herself she can do something with it. That's what the whole process is about. And it builds on itself. So then it doesn't matter what the answer is, you just build on what's taking it in the right direction. And then I asked her, is there another color you'd like it to be? And she seemed fine with it as that brown and white speckled. Sometimes I'll if it's black or red, I'll say, let's take that red to a light pink. Just change it to a light pink and see what that does. And just try some different things, you know. And whatever they end up seeming like they're happy with, then I'll move to something else. And ultimately, I'm going to be moving it farther away because, like I said, 99.999% of the time, that is going to make it less. And hers was getting smaller. Yeah. What?
What's the right or left position when you had her look at it from the right? Or anything?
It's random. It's random. You can put it up, you can put it down, out, back, wherever you want. Anything you do to change it.
Got it.
Anything that comes to you, just try something, and if it makes it better, keep going in that direction. You know, like I said, usually the farther away it goes, it does start changing. So it's just you know, you're addressing different aspects of it, those submodalities as we call them, the details, and then it changes, and that usually does happen. It'll start changing on it by itself too. It became clear. I thought, oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because
It's interesting. I always think when things come, you know, the people that always want to classify, like everything has a meaning, the color has a meaning and whatever. What exactly does that mean? Because when it went outside, it turned to a clear, like a gold colored marble that I could see through.
All
I could see it.
cared about, the only thing I cared
think it's
about,
cool.
you could have said it was black with spikes, but I'm looking at you and I'm watching your energy. And when you said it's a clear marble, you were like, I could tell you felt better. I could just tell.
Yeah.
You can tell by her voice. You can tell by her face. And this is online, so in person, obviously, you're even going to see more of that.
So Patty, how is this different doing it online for the first time than in person for you?
For me, it wasn't.
Wasn't any different?
No, other than if I was in the room with her, I would have been guiding her with my hands.
Okay.
And I would have been off to the side of her. That's the only thing I was a little bit curious about, was when she opened her eyes and put it in front of her. I'm in front of her, and I'm not in front of her if we're in the room together. I'm going to be off to the side, and I'm going to say, I would usually say, put it where my hand is. When you open your eyes, you're going to see my hand. Put it right there where my hand is. And then when she opens her eyes, I'll say, put it right here. And then I'm going to drop my hand and leave it right there. And the rest would be exactly the same way we did it. Now, she instinctively went off a little bit. I could tell her eyesight was not directly on us. It was off a little. That was your instinct, and that was a good one, I think.
That may be an interesting thing to have the person turn slightly to a side when we're doing some therapy, so when they open their eyes, they don't see us.
If you're online.
Yeah.
Like I said, in person, you don't want to be directly in front of them.
Exactly.
So online, that might be the only.
You guided me a little bit by saying that there is a computer screen and people in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's why I looked, because I know where my computer screen is. It's right dead in front of me. So that's why I went to a side. And I didn't pick a side for any particular reason other than I was
and
looking away
I
from.
didn't tell her to do that.
Right.
That's the magic to me of the hypnotic language. I didn't tell her to do that. I just said, you might want to, there's, and I was saying that because I'm thinking in my head too, usually I would be off to their side.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, she's going to open her eyes and here we are right in front of her. It might be a little distracting. So I just gave her a few I gave her some possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
permissive language, and she made a choice on her own, which is much more powerful than me telling her. When I tell you to open your eyes, turn your head, 20 degrees to the right and put it out there.
Right.
Why not let her do it? I'm going to let her do the whole thing as much as possible. I'm just going to open up possibilities. That's my tendency, and it seems to work better because, again, it's her that's doing it. And now she knows she did that. She took it from 50 to 0.
Yep.
She gave herself an experience that she didn't call discomfort. So the discomfort was 0. She had some tingling and something else going on.
It's very cool.
That's fine. As long as she's comfortable, that's all I care about, right?
Thank you, Patty.
Well, thank yourself. Do this. I always tell my clients, do this. Pat yourself on the back. So when you change things, get a location. I got the scale. I did a light, close your eyes, breathe nice. Is it okay if you feel this for a few moments, knowing it'll feel better? Get the yes response. Then I have them go into it. You're associating them into it. Again, with their eyes closed. Her eyes were already closed. I just went ahead and did it right there. Get the location in the body. She'd already told me it was in her foot. So I want to make sure her thoughts were in that spot. Have them objectify it. If it were to be an object, what is it? If it doesn't immediately present, and I'm telling you, it just does, because their mind already has a representation of it. As soon as you say, if it were to be an object, what would it be? They come up with it. I used to doubt that, but it never fails, so I stopped doubting it. If they did, if they take too much time, don't let them think too much. Because first of all, I don't want to leave her in that spot too long because she's not comfortable there, right? I want her just to be there long enough to get the object. Get them to really focus on it and objectify it. You can say things like, if they say, well, I don't know what it would be. Well, that's okay. If you were to imagine that it could be an object, something that's giving you that experience, what would it be? Something that gives you that experience. I'm still not going to say the P word anymore,
So
and then you get the submodalities. Now they're getting absorbed in describing it.
could you do this with migraines too?
Of course, why not?
I was just wondering.
If they're having one right now.
Got it.
Yeah, and then you can teach them, once they've done it, you can give the post-hypnotic suggestions and take them into hypnosis and maybe even deepen that and say, the next time when you aren't in my presence, now that you know you've done this, you know what to do if you start to feel any discomfort, that you can do this exact same thing. You know how to send it away now, right?
Good.
And then have them open their eyes, put it out in front of them. Now you're dissociating. Ask them if it's changed in any way. And again, it's unimportant what the answer is. So just act neutral and simply continue. I don't act like, I expect either anything she says is fine. I'm just curious and interested without judging. Manipulate the submodalities one by one. And in between, you can say things like, does this change it in any way? How does this change it? Does it seem more comfortable like this? I tend to say things like, do you like it better this way? Because you know what that means.
Yeah.
You know what that means, right? Experiment with moving at different locations, left, right, up, down, farther away, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anything to change something about it. The size, the shape, the weight, the color, the texture, the whatever, the distance. And again, does moving it here affect it in any way? That's neutral, right?
Right.
Does it feel better here? Do you like it better there? Do you like it better like that? Is there someplace, and then the last thing you do, is there someplace you would like to send it that would make it feel the best, or something like that? I don't remember what I said, but it was something like that. And Some people will say, I want to send it out into outer space. Good, send it out there. Now that they've done all that other stuff, they don't even question that they can't. You know, it's like, oh, well, I did all that. I guess I can just send it out into outer space. Or they'll say, I want to send it somewhere else, or I want to, she buried it. Whatever they want to do is fine with me. Huh?
Bury dead things.
Yeah, whatever she wants to do with it's fine with me. If I ask them that and they would say, they always have an answer, so I don't know why this is even in here, but if they say they don't know, you can suggest, send it into outer space, you know, attach it to a rocket, send it out. Now it's a meteor, you know, circling another galaxy, sending it away, whatever you come up. But they usually do it without you having to do that. And my goal is always to totally eliminate or greatly reduce the number on that scale. Ask them on the scale now, with 1 being very comfortable, what is your comfort level now? So I'm not even talking about the other end of the scale anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I want their focus where I want them to go. That's the key to hypnosis. The focus and the attention needs to be where you want them to go, because that's what the unconscious is acting on. Whatever they're thinking, it's going to act on. So if you bring up the P word again, guess where it's going to start to go? And you don't want that. Is the level, if the level is a little bit high still, I will ask them if they would like to reduce it even more. Well, you've reduced it to this level. Would you like to reduce it a little bit more, or maybe a lot more? And of course, they're going to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, going through it one time, I can't believe how many people are practically at 0. That quick, that quickly. And if they say yes, then you start from step 4, which would have been going into it again, because if they are experiencing, say they're down to 20% and they say they'd like to make it less. Okay, we'll go back down into it. Close your eyes and go back down into it now, as it is now. And is it representing itself? Is it the same object, or is it a different? It'll probably be a little different, right? And you go with whatever, same thing, go through it all. Then you can go, like I say, into deeper hypnosis and supportive suggestions, so that they understand they have control over this, not just when I'm here guiding them, but they can do this if it's, like you said, with migraines. If it starts to show up, you can catch it and send it away before it gets full blown. The key is that they now believe they can do it on some level. They might not be 100% convinced, but that's okay. It's all a process, right?
Yeah.
Next time they'll believe it more. You know, every time we do anything, we get a better belief system about it. Pretty cool, huh? Very simple.
Very cool.
Very simple.